Alright, so if you go in and play this as it currently stands, and get it to establish the image target, you can see that's there, but you don't see any animation on it yet. Nothing's happening in regards to that part. So this is what we're going to look at doing, is how to set up that animation so that when you use a hotkey, you can play it. So what you need to do is on each prefab, you're going to basically pull out the animation that you want to use, make it into a separate clip that you can then control. Okay, so let's start with the watch, the exploded view. So I'll use this. Now you got to make sure you pick the right prefab for it. So here's the Apple Watch. This is the one for the video. So that's that one right there. Yep. Now if you select it here in the resources folder, and you look over here in the inspector, you got the model part of it, you got the rig, which you don't have any of that. We do have animation. It's called Take One, and then we got materials there as well. So let's go back to the animation. Alright, so we got one animation already in here. They always call it in the FBX export as a take 001. And let me pull this up so you can see it a little bit better. If you play it, now I think nothing will happen for a little bit, simply because it's going to go through the first 600 frames, which don't have anything. So let's get to about halfway. There we go. Now you see that part of it. Alright, so we're going to take that, pull it out, make it into its separate own clip, the exploded part of this, and then we're going to kind of put it back together in a collapsed version. Now, I'm going to get the names to get this correct. I'm going to go look in another folder real quick called scripts, and under exploded animation. So I'm using exploded view and explode close. Okay, exploded view. Alright, so once again, back to my prefab. Watch. So I know, so what I'm going to do is call this one open or exploded view. Okay, now I don't want this whole sequence. So right there, oh, gotta click on, I think plus. No, should have a clamp. Okay, where is it? Maybe, maybe in this new version you don't have to do that. Okay, well, let's see. Now I know I want this to start about 600, and it doesn't go all the way through. Now you can click on the little clips there. It used to say clamp, so that's what, or something like that. So let's pull this where it's always exploded. So right about there. Now I know 1100 is probably a good number. It's a frame, I should say. Now, real important. So you create the name, you clamp it to what you want to, and then you hit apply. Okay. What you create then is this clip called exploded view. If you go back to your prefab, look all the way towards the end, there it is, right there. Okay, we still have the original one, which we'll actually change the name of it in a second. But here's our new one. Okay, so it's part of our prefab still. Now let's go click on that again, and let's rename this one explode collapse, I think. Let me make sure of that name once again. I just want to be able to reuse a script, so I'm trying to pay attention to that. Revert. So once again, I'm using explode close. Okay. Should I just and the interface ones, I call them open and close. So we'll make that part a lot easier on that. All right, back to the prefab. Sorry. All right. Now this one is going to go, and you can type it in here, 1100. And once again, I can play that part. It's just the collapsing part of this. And just kind of make sure that cool. All right, well, I'll go one more frame up just to make sure. Okay. And very important, it won't take this unless you hit apply. That's what that little message was there earlier. All right, so I got those two set up. So now what we need to do is to go and create an animation controller on the Apple Watch element. Okay. And then kind of go back and make the connection between the video or the clips and this animation controller. Okay, so I'm gonna go in here once again. If you right mouse click and say create and look underneath this middle section, you're going to make an animation controller. When you do, you're going to give it a name. So we'll call this video watch. There we go. Now, it isn't associated with anything yet. It's just sitting here as a resource. So what I need to do is drag it and drop it onto my Apple Watch. Okay, it should highlight in blue like that. When I let go and I go back and click on it, what you should see underneath the animator is what you just created, this video watch. Okay, so it's real important that you make that connection. Now, I'm going to go back and double click on it. So animation controllers basically consist of these elements. An entry, meaning when it begins, an exit when it finishes, and then any state. And these basically are firing every second. That's what's happening with it. Now, currently it still has nothing in it. So let's grab out of our video activity. Oops, sorry, it's the wrong one. The Apple Watch video. I want the exploded view and the explode close and explode view. Now, let me see about doing that the other way. I'll do the exploded view. That's my first element, and then my explode close. Now you'll notice this one gets this little line associated. So on entry, it's going to play. Let's see if that's true. Meaning when the scene plays, and it first plays, so it's real important. Sometimes it takes you a while to get this going. You can see it's already playing. Okay, so what I want to do is control that to have it set up when I want to start it. All right, so let's look at doing that. So back here in this, I'm going to right mouse click, create a state, and it's going to be called, or it's going to be empty. Actually, we're going to go back and click on it and call it empty. Okay, so it's just basically a state that has nothing in it, not going to do anything. We're going to right mouse click on it and set it as the default state. So now you'll notice that that's what's going to play first. So nothing's going to happen if I do this. Now I need to have something that'll trigger these. Okay, so back to my Apple Watch again. What I'm going to do is click on Add Component. All right, and what I'm going to add to this, if you type in like SC for script, you'll see that it gives you an ability to do a new script right there. Click on that, give it a name. So we'll call this video watch script. All right, create and add. So it's now part of that. Once again, it has nothing, well, it has some basic elements in it, so let's go start editing it. So if you double click on it, okay, and give it a second, it's going to probably start something called Visual Studio, okay, that it is part of Mac, and actually show you here in a second the actual script. There it is. Okay, so it brings in some assets in these first 3 lines. It creates a class called Video Watch Script, aka the same name. It has a start function and it has an update function. Alright, so what we need to do is drop into this the different elements that we're going to use to basically control this. Alright, now if you go and look underneath this resources, collapse this down, look for the scripts folder, and this exploded animation. Okay, if you want to double click on it, it should open up in the Visual Studio as well. It may already be open. Alright, so it has basically 2 main elements. It has a variable called a public animator, and that's just the name. Animator is basically the controller that we just created. We have to make a connection to it. That's what this is going to do. So you can go ahead and copy this and go back to your video watch, and it goes in right above this, not in the video start, but right above it, right there. Okay, now one important note, you think, well, I just copy everything and paste it in. got to be careful because it'll cause an error, because you have to have this public class, this name, match the actual name of the file. Okay, so I'm showing you how to grab individual pieces. I think this will be smarter. Now this next one's going to be pretty easy. Let's grab this one. Alright, so it's once again in between what's in the update. I'll copy that, come to the update here, click in the middle, paste it in. So what does this do? So, well, it looks for an input of a key down, in this case the number 1. Okay, then it looks at the animator, which is what we're going to connect to it, get the current state info. Okay, and it says is it's empty. Guess what? That's that first one we're looking at, right there. Okay, so if it's empty, we're going to then play exploded view. So it should be that same name right there. Now this is some other stuff. I'm just going to go ahead and take it out. It really just needs to say that. Okay, exploded view. And I'm going to comment this out. We'll come back in and play with it here in a second. That's the animation speed. So that's the first. Then we do an else. And then we look for the 1 again. And then we look for, now this is the, if it's already played all the way open and it's gone to close. So what happens is, the first time out, it'll play from there to exploded view. From everywhere else, it's going to jump from there to there. Okay, it actually never goes back to that unless you start over again. Okay, so once again, this is exploded close. We're going to play exploded view again, and then finally we got to do it when it is open, exploded. Okay, and then we got to close it. All right, so you need those 3 conditions. The first one just is first time out. The other ones are to set it up for the back and forth. Now, gotta save it. Okay, real important with it. And hit save. Let's jump back to Unity. Hopefully, it won't give you any errors. I think there's some other warnings. Okay, let's see. Now, it still won't work. Okay, because what happens if I go back my Apple Watch? There's the script I just created. Right here is a variable it's looking for. Okay, it is attached to the Apple Watch, but it's looking for an input. Now, the input is the animation controller. And the easiest way to get that is just drag the whole watch, drop it onto that, should highlight in blue, let go, and it pulls the animation controllers out of it. Now we got everything set up. So let's try it again. Okay, so initially no animation should be running. Hang on, let me get this out of the way, sorry. Once again, I can just select something and make it non-active. Alright. And establish, cool. Now let's try number 1 on the keyboard. There it goes. Pulling apart like that. Alright. Now once again, this is the open sequence. Okay, so it goes from empty to exploded view and stops, because that's all that's established for that. I type 1 again, it should go close, because that's the close up sequence that it has with it. Okay, now notice it's a little slower. Okay, and then I should be able to pop 1 again anytime. I type 1 second time again, so it jumped to the open and then closed it from there. Okay, it doesn't kind of like reverse play, unfortunately, do that part of it. There we go, and then it jumps and closes it. Alright, that's working. Now let's look at, I'm going to jump back to Visual Studio, that little thing right there, the animation speed. So basically, it's a value that you can put in to speed up or slow down the animation. So I will speed it up. Let's go back to here, play it again. Let it create the link, and this time it should play twice as fast. Okay, now it ends up that once you set it, it will always stay unless you do another animation speed somewhere else. When you put it back, it's going to be twice. And when we play it again, it's going to be, so it always keeps that until it's finished on that part. Alright, now if you get back to this, it's just, we're in the game view, so I'm going to click on that and we're back to that part. Alright, so let's try to do one real quickly for the video. Alright, same basic process. Go to the resources, go to the actual prefab, pull out of it the open sequence, This time I'll name it open and close. There's that clamp range. That's what I was looking for earlier. I'm going to click on that. And once again, just look at my view here to where, so this one has a little dead space up to 30 frames. And then I'll pull on this side. Now that's the closing sequence. It's kind of hard to see. Okay. So I think 120. Alright, remember hit apply. Okay, and then do the second one. Click plus. Rename this close. Okay, and for this one, clamp range again, and look for 120. So once again, it's probably good to, and that's, probably should bring up this point. Let me do this one. I'll do it real quickly here. Let me mention it. So I'm going from the open spot, and that's all the way close. All right, hit apply. So I got open, close. Now regarding your animations in Maya, okay, on mine, let me pull this out just so you can see it. Just so that as I set these up, it made a little sense. Come on, watch. There we go. Okay. So I have this initial one, which starts at frame 30 and then goes all the way to frame 180. Then I wait to frame 200. Then I go through this other sequence again. And then these two actually run together simultaneously, but I'm still going to import those as two separate pieces. Okay. And then finally, from frame 600 through 1200 is the exploded view. Okay, so you can set these up however you want to, as far as sequential, like I did some of them, or simultaneously, as I did those last two, the interface elements, these two. When you export them, you're going to get them as separate elements. Okay. All right. So I got open and close there. Good. Now, hit apply. Make sure of that. So once again, got to make sure you add them to the actual animation controller. But what I'm going to do this time, well, I'm going to do the same thing. Let's right mouse click, create animation controller. We'll call this video. This be activity. Okay, so you drag it out to drop it onto there to establish that connection. You can verify it, so right there it should be as part of that. Now, since I named this open and close, I don't always, you can actually reuse scripts. So in here is where I have my scripts. So if you look in here, there's activity script. Okay, so once again, you would select the actual element. Okay, pick it off the hierarchy. It's over here. Here's my script, activity script. Just drag and drop it right in there, and now that's attached to it. Okay, as long as I use the same names, I can reuse things. It's great. Then I grab the video activity underneath hierarchy and drop it in right there. And real quickly, if I double click on this, so this is using the to key, okay, and I call something open and close, so I use the same names. So if you got an animation, it's going to repeat. Notice this is activity script, this is clock script, okay, right there's the name. This is 3, print script 4, and finally weather was 5. Okay, all named the same thing, open and close. They're unique to that prefab, so you can reuse names that way. Alright, now let's just double check on this. See what's missing in here. So I've clicked on the animator. That's the video animator there. It doesn't have the elements I need. Okay, so let's first put in the empty state. It needs to be named empty. If it's not, it doesn't work. Okay, then we need to add in, for the video activity, the close and the open. Doesn't matter the order. They're just sitting here as elements that can be called upon. Okay, but important that you have the empty one. That is, once again, if it's not, make sure it's set as the default layer, or set as layer default state. Okay, Now that should everything. Let's try, see if that's going to work. There's that part. Now we'll go ahead and test it here. Hit 2. Alright, opens up and goes that far. But that is the basic part of setting up the animation. Now, once you do it, you can actually take this element and drag it into this, where it doesn't have to be seen to start with, and can play it from there. So it doesn't have to be sitting out visible or anything like that with it. Okay, so keep that in mind when setting this all up.